Hey, man, I got some bad news for you, Ahmad. I got some bad news, man. I don't really like to start off shows saying that, but I do. And that bad news is, man, we won't be seeing regular season NBA basketball for quite some time, man. It's unfortunate now that the finals are over and stuff. I mean, the offseason definitely going to look different, but it's going to be a minute.
Yeah, got the Summer League. We got the NBA draft. You know, it's going to be a lot of potential great interviews with us also this summer as well.
Facts.
So,
free agency and trades.
It's always drama. Always drama.
Facts, yeah. But before we tap into the trade drama and the rumors, we got to talk about this past postseason, right? Let's get right into it. Top five players.
You doing your list and I'm doing my list?
Yeah, I want you to go first, if that's okay.
We should do. You don't want to do top 10? You want to do top 5?
Top 10 could get. I mean,
yeah.
I like top 5 because then it
All right, you have your list.
You leave people off and then people get pissed off. You know, that's just the way it works.
Number one.
And yeah, wait. Sorry. This is all in order.
In order,
correct?
Okay. Yeah,
it's all in order. So are you starting with 5 or 1? Because I'm starting with 5. But
I'll start with.
You start with yours. You go ahead. You rock out.
You say start with 5 or 1.
You can start with 1, 5, 3. Don't matter. You go with it, whichever order you want.
I'm coming at number 5. Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant was sensational. Kevin Durant was a shot away from eliminating the champions, the Milwaukee Bucks. His toe was literally on the line. Kevin Durant was special. Kevin Durant also proved a lot of people kind of wrong about like his play style. Like everybody talks about him being just this phenomenal scorer, but he showed that, you know, he can play the LeBron play style if he had to. You know, when he dropped, it was like game 6, he was dropped like 49. It was like 10 and 10 or something crazy like that, like 3-4 blocks. So Kevin Durant, definitely got to give him his flowers. Coming at number 4, Paul George. Paul George was special. Paul George killed all the nonsense, killed all the narratives, killed all everything. Just killed anything you had bad to say about Paul George. I don't want to hear it anymore. He showed this playoffs that he can be a number 1 option on a championship caliber team. And people were talking about, you know, him and Kawhi. Once Kawhi Leonard went down, but Paul George stepped up and rise to the occasion. And now you're hearing stuff like, well, you know what? Are Paul George and Kawhi compatible? You know, should we just build a team around Paul George? Should we maybe, if Kawhi Leonard walks in free agency, you know? So Paul George definitely showed up and showed out. Number 3, my boy from Atlanta, Trae Young. Trae Young was special. Trae Young proved that he's a top 5, maybe top 3, 25 player and under. The city of Atlanta is going to have a special player for the next 10 plus years. And they're one piece away from being, to me, a legit championship contender. Number 2, Devin Booker, back-to-back 40-point games in the NBA Finals. He was special, looking like a Kobe disciple. I know he doesn't want to be compared to Kobe Bryant, but he is a Kobe disciple. His game and his play style is very similar to Kobe Bryant. And number 1, got to give it to Giannis. 50 points in a closeout game. Giannis is spectacular, led the Bucks in every statistical category in the NBA Finals, even closed out a game 6, closed out from start to finish, aggressive on both sides of the basketball court, offense and defense. He was special, rim protecting, blocking shots, and he was coming off he came into the series coming off a hyperextended knee injury. So it just shows you how crazy a freak of nature, how his athleticism is just so crazy. So those are my top 5. Definitely got to give Giannis the respect, though.
Thank you. And I appreciate you ending your segment with that last statement. Give me his respect. All right, so here's my 5. I hate to break it. So I had the same players, but different order. All right, so I'm going to start off with number 1. You start with 5. I'm going to start at number 1. Clear cut, right? It's obvious. It's Giannis for all the reasons you just listed. I mean, Finals MVP. If you saw the last episode, you already know, you feel me, what I was saying about the whole 50 in a closeout game, 340 and 10s. It was just crazy. The entire run, like you said, coming off that injury as well, I think he really proved to be the best player in the postseason, right? In this year's postseason. Number 2, I got Kevin Durant. And I'm not going to lie, it's a little wild that you put KD at 5.
I think it's wild that you got him in I think Kevin Durant is the best player in the world right now, but like, I think it's wild.
And I know... Right. It's two separate questions.
I'll let you finish. I'll let you finish.
Right.
Go ahead.
And I know it's two separate questions just in terms of what he did in the postseason. But I'm sorry. I have to put Kevin Durant at number 2 when it comes to the overall postseason. And I know not only did he not make it to the finals or the conference finals, but still, just given what he had, I got to put Kevin Durant at 2. Number 3, I'm gonna go with Trey. Right. Shout out to him for bringing the Hawks to the conference finals. A lot of people didn't have them even making the playoffs before the season started. So to beat a team like Philly and then lead that team against the Bucks and to make it all the way to the conference finals, I got to put Trey on there. Like you said, he definitely made some noise now. People already knew that he was talented, but now I think there's serious talks about where he is in terms of rankings and in terms of tiers.
I've been here.
Right. You've been here. I got you on that. Number 4, I got Book. Another team, which is crazy enough to believe that some people didn't have them making the playoffs as well. Well, obviously, they faced a lot of teams during the postseason that were injured. But at the end of the day, when you bring a team to the NBA Finals, that says a lot. Now, obviously, that team is talented, right? You got Chris Paul, you got DeAndre Ayton, you got Jay Crowder, so on and so forth. But what he did in terms of adjusting his game to the playoffs, to the postseason, and bringing that franchise to the NBA Finals, and being 2 games away from winning the entire thing. To me, that's pretty crazy in itself. And then 5, last but definitely not least, my man's Paul George. It was getting real loud last year. It was getting real loud about
Crazy.
Paul George and what he's capable of and what he's not capable of. And it just goes to show you how, you say this often in the last episode too, how one postseason or how one bad game can really change everything for a player. But I'm really happy to see Paul George really get back to the way that we're used to seeing from him, right? Like, again, sometimes guys have bad games, bad years, whatever, but we know what Paul George truly does on the basketball court. And to see what he was able to do without Kawhi, again, let's give him his respect. Let's return his respect, right? And give him his flowers. So those are my 5 in order. I think the biggest difference is where we have Kevin Durant. So why do you have him, KD, at 5?
I have KD at 5, even though KD to me is the best player in the world other than LeBron James. We talked about that last week. Toss up, whatever. I have Kevin Durant at number 5 for this 2021 NBA playoffs and postseason. It's because everybody that I mentioned, Giannis, Devin Booker, Trae Young, Paul George, played in the Western Conference Finals or Eastern Conference Finals or even the NBA Finals. So that's why I got Kevin Durant. As great as Kevin Durant, his postseason was crazy. It was phenomenal. He lost in the second round. So it's hard for me to have a guy in that top 2 that lost in the second round, of the playoffs. Because even though he's the best player in that group, that 5, it's just kind of like he didn't play in the Eastern Conference Finals or the NBA Finals. So that's hard for me. So that's why I had Giannis. That's why I had Devin Booker. Even Devin Booker on your list is kind of low because Devin Booker was in the NBA Finals, and we saw what he had 2 back-to-back 40-point games. So we got to give – that's why I said Giannis, number 1, 3 40-point games and a 50-point closeout. And then you got Devin Booker, back-to-back 40-point games and what he was doing. So that's why I have them at 1 and 2 for the 2021 NBA postseason. Now, I'm not saying they're the best players out of my 5 because, Kevin Durant. I think Kevin Durant's the best out of the group, but that's the reason why.
Yeah, it's funny. I think, our arguments flip-flopped in a way based off last episode because usually, I put a high value on winning. Right, and to have the fact that the one guy on this top 5 who didn't even make the conference finals be at number 2 is it makes you think. But to me, it was what I saw from KD when things didn't go his way in terms of just the injuries and stuff, right? And the other teams, the other guys didn't have to really deal with a serious injury. I know, Chris, with COVID protocols, but the idea of you lose Kyrie, James Harden isn't the same James Harden. And now you still have your team, right? You still have your team competing with the eventual NBA champion. So that was the reason why I had KD that high, and it's Kevin Durant. And also too, obviously, names kind of go out the window when we're talking about just the postseason. Yeah. But even Book, I will say, obviously, with him being 2 wins away, from the NBA Finals, the 40-point games. But I think in a way, I kind of expected that more than I did. From Trey and the Atlanta Hawks. Again, going back to the fact of who Trey had to play against, what he had to go through, the overall expectations, and not to say that, myself or everyone thought that the Suns were going to be 2 wins away from the NBA Finals, but when you think about, the competition the injuries, you add all those things together. And again, both of them, Trey and Book, aren't going anywhere, right? This was not a fluke. This wasn't like, okay, they had a good year and we'll never see them again. No, they are both here to stay. But yeah, even Paul George too, right? The whole not having Kawhi thing and being able to step up. So I honestly, in general, I'm just going to shout out all 5 of them, right? Because to me, even though this is a question, this was really a segment where I feel like, all right, literally all 5 of them deserve their flowers. I don't feel that, there's any type of disrespect for this specific question.
Every player we talked about, probably other than Devin Booker. Well, even Devin Booker to a certain extent, because people were talking about, oh, Devin Booker, how good is Devin Booker? And we always, and if you know basketball and you watch the game, Devin Booker was always that dude. He just needed a better team situation, similar to Zach LaVine. If Zach LaVine gets a great team situation around him, he's already been that dude for years. And this year, people are starting to see, oh, he made the All-Star team. They're like, yo, Zach LaVine is so cold. He's been cold for the last 4 years, 3-4 years. He's been cold since Minnesota days. It's just like people don't watch certain teams and people don't watch certain players. So when they start winning and having success, like a Devin Booker, going and having this crazy postseason run, like, oh my God, Devin Booker is a top 3 young player in the game. He's been that. You know what I'm saying? He's been that. And then, like, you look at Kevin Durant, even Kevin Durant, it was some people that was coming into the season was talking about Kevin Durant's only going to be a top 10 player in the game. Kevin Durant's not going to be a top 5 player anymore. And I was telling people, you guys got to understand that, like, he's coming off a year and a half where he was basically resting because of COVID in that situation. So he had an extended break. And then number 2, Kevin Durant's game is predicated on skill set, not athleticism. He's athletic, of course, but like his skill set is his number 1 attribute. So his game was always going to be all right because of his shooting ability. The only thing that was my concern with Kevin Durant is like getting to the cup. How is he going to move, crossing you over and stuff like that and trying to get to the line and finish at the rim. That was my only concern. But skill set wise, I wasn't concerned. And then you look at Giannis. Giannis came into this postseason with, played the Miami Heat right off bat, a team that was like made him a shell of himself in the regular season. When he came to the postseason, like, yo, this is not the Giannis everybody sees in the regular season. And even the Toronto series the following year was like he struggled because of those teams had defensive-minded players that can build a wall and stuff like that. But he came in 4-0. Heat was done.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he went on that. Then he went on that crazy run, beat the Brooklyn Nets. With the circumstances with that situation. So he proved a lot of people wrong. So everybody, and Trae Young, we know how people were talking about Trae Young. And even this year, they wasn't giving the credit. He didn't make the All-Star team, didn't make an All-NBA team, didn't even get selected for the Olympics. So it's just like people are still kind of disrespecting Trae Young in a way after he didn't prove all this. Like, yo, like he's here. He's on the same level as some of those great other players that people want to crown that's a top 5 player in the game. I don't believe that, but people want to say and Luka Doncic is a top 5 player in the game. To be honest, him and Trae Young are 1A, 1B. So it's just kind of like all these guys in this postseason run in both our lists proved a lot of people wrong. So that's why we got to give them their flowers.
Facts. And you know what, though? I was thinking about this a little earlier today. Like when we talk about postseason runs, right, and the Miami Heat, how do you think last year's Eastern Conference champion would match up with this year's Western Conference champion? So like last year's Heat team with this year's Suns team. Because it's like I don't like saying teams like overachieve because then it's like, damn, you wasn't thinking that highly of them, but they weren't really the favorites to make it there. No, so like, what do you think would happen if they played in the 7-game series? Because Book versus Jimmy, that would be something special, especially in the finals.
It depends on what Jimmy Butler we gonna get. Because this year's Jimmy Butler was he averaged I think 13 points in the first round. So I don't know about this situation. Also, the teams were different. The Miami Heat had Jay Crowder, so it's just like a lot of teams. Are you getting the same team?
Both, yeah.
That's so it's kind of hard to make that comparison as well. Because if you look at the Lakers, like the 2020 Lakers versus this Bucks team, who you taking? I'm probably it's probably a good series.
That's a good one too.
That's a better.
Both of them.
That's a better question. Like the 2020 Bucks team or this Milwaukee's finals team. Which team are you taking to win the finals? And I'll probably still say the Lakers in 6 because they got 2 top 5 players in the game. Even AD is borderline top 5 player. But when he's healthy, we know he can be a top 5. A lot of these guys are interchangeable. So, like if AD is 6 or 7, he can be a top 3 to 7 player. Similar to how I feel about Giannis Antetokounmpo. Just like him. If he's number 5 on my list, he can be sometimes as high as number 3 or as high as the best player in the world one day and stuff.
Yeah.
In any given game. So
and I would say like the X factors for that series would probably end up being like Drew and Chris versus AD, right? So like obviously AD individual, but you would take Anthony Davis, but it's the idea of like could those two? Because I think in a way Giannis and LeBron would kind of cancel each other out, right? Like, obviously, you feel like LeBron's a better player, but
Giannis. Yeah, the thing about people were talking about Giannis in this situation, we're talking about Oscar Robertson came on and said the only player in the NBA that can guard Giannis is Anthony Davis. But I've seen LeBron James lock up on Giannis before too as well. So some player Kawhi. I seen Jimmy Butler as well. So I don't really agree with that. But it's just kind of like it just depends on the personnel and. Right. I just feel like the Phoenix Suns didn't have the personnel to defend Giannis. And I'm not saying like it's a whole lot of teams in the NBA don't have the personnel to defend Giannis. Yeah. And even if you do have the personnel to defend Giannis, he's still probably getting 30 and 10, but it's just like the way he gets his 30 and 10 and it's probably going to be a little harder, especially in the closing moments of games. So I think defensively it would have been tougher for Giannis against the 2020 Los Angeles Lakers instead of this Phoenix Suns 2021 Phoenix Suns team.
Yeah. But you know what, though, and speaking of the Lakers, we done heard so many, like, rumors and lists of players that might be.
As soon as the season ended, we talking about.
Yeah, as soon as the season, like, after the Bucks parade, immediately it turned to, all right, let's talk about the Lakers. Let's talk about rumors. Like, damn. But with that being said, there's a bunch of them, right? So I've heard Kyle Lowry, DeMar, Chris Paul, Russell Westbrook. So of those 4, let me think of the right way to word this question. Not which one do you think is most likely to happen. Which one would you want to see happen? Chris Paul, Russell Westbrook, Kyle Lowry, or DeMar DeRozan on the Los Angeles Lakers?
Bradley Beal. That's what I would want. If anybody.
This guy.
Bradley Beal. That's what I would want.
Okay, but.
Yeah, that's what I would want.
But
that's
you know
any
what,
team should want.
It's so funny to hear, like, okay, the Lakers might be getting him. The Lakers might get him. What's the package? What is the trade package for Bradley Beal? What is the trade package for Russell Westbrook? What is what would be given up?
They're talking about Kyle Kuzma signing trade for Dennis. My thing with this whole, I'm not even crazy about the trade package. My thing is some of these Lakers fans talking about they wouldn't want Russell Westbrook or they wouldn't want Chris Paul and all this craziness, and it's just kind of like, let me tell you something. Everybody's talking about spacing. They get caught up in this whole analytic, like, oh, we got to space and spread out the floor and shoot the ball and stuff like that. The Milwaukee Bucks were the NBA champions. They shot 31% the entire postseason from 3. If you get talent, you figure it out. It's just kind of like that's what you got to do. No, you worry about the spacing. You worry about if a superstar player is going to come off the bench because they get Russell Westbrook and then things don't work out with Russell Westbrook, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis starting together. You know what you could do? You can put Russell Westbrook. I don't know if he will go for this, but you can put Russell Westbrook as a 6 man and let him operate that second unit, and you can kind of swap his minutes where he's being the number 1 focal point on offense with the second unit. Similar to how they did James Harden. It was times when James Harden started the game, but also James Harden was getting a lot of bulk of his minutes going against other teams' second unit and leading that second unit and stuff like that. You could do that with Russell Westbrook. So it's so many ways of how you can fit those 3 players if it came down to it. So it's just like, it's crazy to me how people just get so like, oh, the spacing. These are NBA professional teams and coaches, some of the best coaches in player development coaches on their staff. They're going to figure it out. So it's just kind of like talent. If you get talent, you figure it out. So that's how I feel.
Yeah, I agree with you on that point. If you're able to get talent, you
get
it
out.
And you figure the rest out later, right? Like, there ain't too many Russell Westbrooks walking around on this earth. So if you're able to get him, you get him. That's the part I agree with you on. The part that I've got to think twice on is whether or not he would be a 6 man. And I know what you're saying in terms of like, all right, he could spend more minutes with like the second unit, but if Russell Westbrook is on your team, he's starting.
Yeah, of course he started. Of course he. I'm just saying, if things were so bad and like, yo, like this is not working out, then you probably can go that route and have a conversation with him because contrary to popularity, Russell Westbrook is a great teammate and wants to win. And he would do anything to win to give his team the best opportunity to win a championship because he's starving for a championship. I'm just saying, I'm not saying like Russell Westbrook should be the 6 man if that's the case. I'm saying like, if it was say the Lakers, they got Russell Westbrook and the team was losing a lot of games and it wasn't working or whatever, you would have to figure out a way to figure it out. But initially, well, like I said, it would be Russell Westbrook starting, LeBron James starting, Anthony Davis starting, and they'll start the game together. But Russell Westbrook will also have a lot of his minutes staggered to play in the second unit where he can be the focal point of the offense and stuff like that and gets other teams' second unit. And you got you got Russell Westbrook, a top 15 player in the world, going against the second unit of other opposing teams. It's just like, yo, that's crazy. That's why that's why James Harden was so lethal this year.
I mean, it's like you get me excited and pissed off at the same time because like I want it to happen, but realistically, it's like, because damn, if Russ could, and then you gotta remember too, it would take a lot of pressure off him to play with Bron and AD, right? So because for so long Russ has been like the focal point. Obviously, he's played with Bradley Beal and James Harden, but to have two other guys, right? And obviously, again, I know we've seen him play with OKC, but that wasn't the same as prime Bron and prime AD, in my opinion. But man, to have him play with the second unit. So all right. So I know you said Bradley Beal, but what about Chris? That would be something else.
Chris Paul too. Chris Paul's your third option, like 16-10, and Chris Paul can score at every level on the basketball court. It's just like, of course, Chris Paul. Talent is talent. It's just kind of like, now, I'm going to say, like, what do you think? Because, like, we just talking about players right now. You gave me 4 players. I didn't pick the one I think would be the best fit. But I want to know, what do you think would be the best fit that I'm going to pick mine? Because I didn't get it. We just been talking about,
right,
players,
just, possibilities.
Yeah. How can it work?
I would say best fit, I would say Chris Paul.
You say Chris Paul.
Just in terms of just overall sacrifice and getting, especially him with AD. Right, getting AD in the right spots. I think, look, LeBron could play with anyone in the entire world, and I think he'd be all right. He'd figure it out. But just to fit with AD, because we've seen, right, what Chris Paul can do with athletic bigs. We've seen that, right? Shout out to the Lob City era, and just shout out to what he's done with that. But and defensively, right? So I think when Chris plays with that type of guy behind him in terms of one that can protect the rim, it eases the pressure off him to be able to deal with that. But Chris and AD and Bron, and the friendship that Chris and Bron already have, you know what I'm saying? It's there. It would just make the most sense. Now, again, if the Lakers are able to get Russell Westbrook, let's make that happen. But if not, if they're able to get Chris, then let's run. Because you said before, like, the Lakers could use a third star.
Yeah, they
right?
can use a
like,
third star.
It can't just be LeBron and AD.
They definitely, any third star they can get. If it is available, you get. But to me, I've been saying it for a year straight. The perfect player is DeMar DeRozan for the Los Angeles Lakers, because he can be a third star, but he's also a player that too many times when people and NBA fans, they talk about like we were just talking about the spacing with Russ. They need shooter. We need a shooter. We need a shooter. We need a shooter. You need a shooter. Lakers don't need another shooter. Like, they can go out and get shooters. Like, KCP was a shooter. Ben McLemore was a shooter. You know what the Lakers need? They need a shot creator, a bucket getter, a scorer. It's a difference between a scorer and a shooter. Now, a lot of people say in this NBA, like, you want to have guys that can really shoot the basketball. It's very important and stuff like that. But they get confused when like people are talking about Joe Harris. Like, Joe Harris, as great as he is, he's a marksman. He's a shooter, but he's just a souped up role player with the Brooklyn Nets. He's not a scorer. He's not a guy that we saw the true Joe Harris in the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? He's a role player. He's not going to be your third option or second star if somebody gets hurt and stuff like that. The Lakers don't need just a shooter. They need a scorer. They need a bucket getter. And DeMar DeRozan is a guy you can give the ball to and say, here, go give me 8 and 10 points real quick. Isolation, get out the way. Go get a bucket. Lakers haven't had that for years.
I would say the Lakers need also a facilitator, because obviously
LeBron can do that.
Right. But I'm saying, like, when LeBron goes out the game, I mean, it looks, and shout out to, Dennis, love Dennis, but in terms of actually, like, that's why I said Chris. You know what I'm saying? I think that would be perfect. When LeBron comes out the game, you don't have to worry about, and again, fully aware DeMar gets buckets, right? But he's a player where it's like, all right, if we need a bucket, here's the ball, go score. But in terms of making sure everyone else, the other 4 guys on the floor, are like where they're supposed to be, you know what I'm saying, at the right time, all that. And in terms of the leadership, the veteran presence, definitely Chris.
I'm not really worried about because you got LeBron. Like, if you got to stagger LeBron's minutes, I know when LeBron leaves the court, it gets nads, but if you got to score and you could just say, get the ball to, and just like, a backup can get the ball to DeMar DeRozan, and it's
Well,
like,
if that's the case, then you don't need anything else. LeBron can do everything. If that's the case, I'm talking about like when LeBron leaves the game, the flow of the flow of the team, the flow of the team.
Yeah, but if you got a chance to get DeMar DeRozan, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, you do it, because that's what the Lakers need, a scorer. Like, LeBron James is 36 years old, going to be 37 years old in December. LeBron James is at the point in his career where he cannot be your best shot creator. That is a problem. Chris Paul is at the point of his career where you don't want him to be your best shot creator. That's not getting it done, man. I'm telling you. Like, Anthony Davis, as great as he is a shot creator, but he's still a big man. You don't want Anthony Davis being your best shot creator. You need a guy that can be your shot creator in the isolation half court, especially in the playoffs. They can say, yo, give the ball to him, take me home. Even look at LeBron James historically, like when he won his championships with Miami and with the Cleveland Cavaliers. He won a championship with AD because they were just so dominant. 2 top 5 players in the game. They were so dominant. But historically, LeBron James has always been at his best when he's had an elite shot creator. Dwayne Wade, Kyrie Irving. That's why I say you get DeMar DeRozan, another elite shot creator. He's not as good as those guys, and DeMar DeRozan is going to be 32, so his prime is kind of like a little bit. But that's what I'm saying. You get DeMar, LA kid, bring him home, bring DeMar home.
Let me ask you this: do you think the Lakers can win a chip with the roster they have currently?
No.
Wow.
No, not with that. Not with that 3-headed monster out there in Brooklyn. No.
Okay.
No.
Do you think they can win the West?
Do I think they can? It depends.
With all teams healthy. With all teams healthy, considered.
All teams healthy, yeah, because Kawhi's not healthy, so he's out for a year. So yeah, I think they can win the West. Definitely. Definitely. But you got Golden State coming back. What if Golden State gets? I don't know, a Ben Simmons or somebody. Or
here we go. If we go another damn episode where you talk about the Warriors get Ben Simmons, it's not going to happen. It is not going to happen.
And it's crazy because Warrior fans are so delusional. They don't want Bradley Beal. Like, people talking about, like, they don't want to gut the roster for Bradley Beal. Just so delusional. How would Bradley Beal and Klay Thompson? You figure it out. Like, how would they work together? What do you mean? How would they work together?
Well, see. Hang on. Are they saying they don't want Bradley Beal, or are they saying they don't want Bradley Beal for a certain player?
They're saying they don't want Bradley Beal because they feel like you had to gut the roster to get Bradley Beal.
Obviously you're gonna have to give up one of those two guys, Klay or Draymond. The Wizards ain't. Come on now, they not that foolish to be out here just. Oh yeah, here's this 30-point score. You can have him. Just no. Yeah. You're sending us something. It might not be Steph, but one of those two gentlemen is heading to DC.
Yeah, Klay. I would send him Klay Thompson.
Honestly. I mean, look, if Golden State could finesse it,
if it came down to it, I'm just saying, there's a lot of things that we just gotta wait and see about. We don't know. We gotta wait till the season starts and all these trades happen and stuff like. When trades start to happen and stuff like that, because it's hard to kind of because I don't know, even the Denver Nuggets, what if they get another third? What if Michael Porter Jr. is a stud? He's gonna be.
I don't see them making any trades though.
Yeah, or what if? What if Portland gets somebody? I don't see Portland doing nothing. I'm just saying.
Hey man, at this point,
you don't see Portland doing nothing. But it's just who? What team? Only teams in the West I can imagine is the Warriors and the Lakers, to be honest.
But I'll say I think it's right now. It's so weird because it's tough for a lot of teams to make moves because of injuries. Right, the Clippers, their best player is injured. The Nuggets, their second best player is injured. Right. Who else? I'm missing somebody else.
What if Denver gets? What if the Mavericks get some?
Else. Oh, Portland, or their star isn't probably the most happy. He's not. They're not injured, but you said the Mavericks.
What if the Mavericks get somebody?
See,
what if the Mavericks get? What if the Mavericks get DeMar DeRozan?
Players leaving / teams receiving a star is dope, but to me, it's all about who you're giving up to. Right, because if the trade ain't even though you got a star, but you gave away damn near your whole starting five,
DeMar's a free agent.
Time. Oh, the Warriors. That's what I was missing. The Warriors. Yeah. They're injured. Klay's injured. But go ahead. What were you saying?
DeMar's a free agent, I think.
I mean, look.
Kyle Lowry's on the market. That'll be the perfect point guard for
It's so
Luka.
crazy to say that the Lakers could get both. Again, don't get me wrong. If that happens, let's run.
It's possible, but it's not. I don't think it's
Let's run.
likely.
Yeah,
It's likely.
like even one of them is tough, right? Even to get one of them is tough. But if you get both, you got Kyle, you got DeMar.
All I know is it's a 3-headed monster in Brooklyn, and if they're healthy, the Lakers got to find a third option to combat that. Because
That firepower is crazy.
As great as and let me tell you, the Bucks got a big three. They got Chris Middleton is one of the best closers in the game. He's smooth. You got Giannis. Giannis is here. Drew Holiday defensive. They got a big three. So it's just like what happens with Philadelphia? We don't know what's gonna happen with Philadelphia. Has a big three. They keep underachieving, of course, but it's just kind of like we don't know what's gonna happen. We don't know what's gonna happen with that situation. Like, what if they swap out?
I think
What if they
do.
swap out? What if they get like a Buddy Hill? You know, Buddy Hill.
Man, one time for Sacramento.
Buddy Hill, Joel Embiid, Tobias. Like Buddy Hill's a marksman, so it's just kind of like I don't know, man. It's a lot of things that's gonna happen.
So a lot of what ifs.
Yeah, so what ifs right now.
So a lot of what ifs. But you know what? Talking about Buddy Hill, talk about Ben Simmons. Just in general, obviously, you know, we covered kind of who might be in the mix for next year's chip. But we got a draft, right? We got a NBA draft, you know, with some young guys. So, you know, obviously, you know,
yes, sir.
top 3 guys, you know, Jalen, Cade, Evan. You know, just what are your thoughts kind of about this class as a whole?
Those 3 can be generational. And I think if you get any team that gets one of those 3 players, you know, it's going to have a chance. I feel like, to me personally, I feel like Jalen Green's the best prospect in the NBA draft and should go number 1, even over Cade. But I don't think that's going to happen. But that's just how I feel.
But if that's the case, though, would you just trade the pick, considering the hype?
Obviously, they've been
I'm saying, would you?
Yeah, rumor has it they've been trying to trade the pick. You know, Detroit. And we had, I forgot his name. We had, what's his name on the podcast?
Beard, yeah, Ron Beard, yeah.
Yeah, right, yeah. And we were talking about that. That's what I was saying. It's just kind of like, I told him, I was like, don't be surprised if the Detroit Pistons, which are looking to trade this pick, even though how great as Cade is, it's just kind of like, because Jalen Green, if they can do what the Boston Celtics did, like the Boston Celtics traded down to get Jason Tatum, you know what I'm saying, and got a first-round pick. And that was the guy they always wanted. You know what I'm saying? They finagled. You know what I'm saying? Finagled Philadelphia. So it's just kind of like, we don't know what's going to happen. That's what I'm saying. Jalen Green is it. He's it, man. He's something special. He is a special player, man.
Yeah.
His future, he is so impressive. And then Cade is impressive too. I don't want to I'm talking. Cade is that's what I'm saying. Cade, Jalen, and Evan, like it's serious.
It's gonna be a serious class. It's gonna be a serious class. But yeah, a lot of people, you know, I'm a big fan of Jalen Green too. I hear a lot of baby Kobe comparisons. Shout out to my man Ty, who always, you know, mentions that whenever, you know, we talk about Jalen Green. But just idea, like, to me, I never liked the baby Kobe comparisons with Jalen, with Book, or with anybody. You know,
it's one Kobe. Yeah,
that's why I say
I don't compare. I say Kobe disciple, meaning like they had their game. You can tell like where guys model their games after certain players. Yeah, and their game set and play style is similar to Kobe Bryant, but they're not Kobe. Yeah. They're a disciple of Kobe.
Exactly.
You know I don't. I never go around saying the next Kobe. You would never hear the next
Ever.
LeBron, the next KD. No. We got certain guys that are you up here, and it's disciples. That's it. You know what I'm saying? Now, once their career unfolds and stuff like that, maybe someday it can be a Luka Doncic disciple. You know what I'm saying? It depends on how their career folds. You know, pans out and stuff like that.
And the thing is, I think guys can create their own path too, right? I know, like, when we think about nostalgia, it's like, oh yeah, you know, this guy reminds me of so and so. Like, this is about to be a new player. We've who's to say we've seen a Jalen Green before? You know what I'm saying? Who's to say we've seen an Evan Mobley before? Like, it's okay for guys to create their own path and be their own player.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? But it's just crazy to see.
Another kid coming up there, everybody keeps talking about Kevin Durant Jr. I'm like, pump the brakes. He's good. He's cold. He's tough, but I don't, you know, he's tough, but I don't see Kevin Durant like people like to throw
I see
out.
Why they're saying it.
I see.
I'm not gonna say I agree, but I see why.
The height, the length, you know, the the shooting ability, but like he don't have that handle like I mean he's I don't even like talking about young players.
And that's nothing too. They're young.
Yeah, I don't even like talk.
They're young.
I don't
Who
even
the hell is at their prime at 16?
That's what I said. I don't even like to start talking about young players. That's why I don't even talk about Imani. I don't talk about Bronny. I don't talk about, Check. I try to wait till they at least go to like in college first, and then or like they're going into the NBA or they're playing in the G League. That's when I start like watching the games, looking at their strengths, looking at their weaknesses and stuff like that. Because I don't even like talking about young players because we don't even know what they're gonna be. Because like you said, like they 16 years old, like all this pressure and hype, and people talk about Mikey Williams and stuff like that. Like let these kids. I don't know. Like Mikey Williams right now, like he's one of supposedly the top one of the top players in his upcoming draft class. But it's just kind of like we don't know how Mikey's going to pan out when he gets to college and stuff like that. Like you got to wait and give it time, and really got to wait till these players reach college or reach the G League or whatever choice they decide to do. So it's just kind of like. I try to stay away from that, but
and it's a different game. Like you're just talking about high schoolers. You know what I'm saying? Like just kind of put that into perspective. Like obviously when we talk about the professionals, it's like they work on this every single day. It is their job. They're getting paid millions of dollars. But you talking about fellas that's damn near got homework. You know what I'm saying? That's like you really got to put it into perspective. Like all right, let's let them be children, let them be kids, and work on their game at the same time, but pump the brakes. But it's just dope to see going back to the prospects for the draft. It's like what teams are going to need going into the draft, right? Cade to the Pistons is kind of like it would just be interesting to see what these players bring to teams and the city, right? Like, and just you can kind of see now with players like Giannis, you talked about on the last episode, being homegrown, right? Not running from the grind, getting drafted to maybe a small market team, but staying there, right, and building up that franchise, building up that city to eventually winning a championship, which I think a lot of these guys can do, especially Cade and Jalen, especially like with the way the league is heading, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Work, and Cade is special because he has an all-around game, and you can kind of put that workload on Cade, similar to like, I call them do everything players or power forwards or dual force are all kind of the same thing. They're just do everything type of player. And these players are rare because it's just like when you got a guy that can potentially lead you in points, rebounds, assists, and play defense, it's kind of like that's why the Pistons kind of like I understand. I like Jalen Green, but I understand like why Cade probably got to be the number 1 overall pick. Right. You know what I'm saying? Or why like Ben Simmons was a number 1 overall pick. You know what I'm saying? Like when you got guys that like are clawed for that kind of like LeBron play style, it's like damn, even if he don't be what we think he gonna be, it's just like damn, we can't really pass up on that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
And it's almost like Rod talked about it too on the episode. Is like the idea if he wants it, right? He wants to be the number 1 player. He wants to have that. He wants all of that. So even going back to his college days, it's like yo, when you get a guy like that, it's not even just the talent, right? Like the idea of like yo, bring it. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's gonna be pretty dope for him and just that franchise. I'm assuming, obviously, things go as planned.
Cap or no cap? Kyle Kuzma on a different team other than Los Angeles Lakers is an all-star caliber player.
Damn, man. All right, come on, man.
What you mean?
I'm going to answer the question from my heart and say cap. But come on. I can't do that to Kuz. Look, all right, so let me go in a different direction. I did answer your question. I'm not dodging. I did answer. I said cap. But I think when B.I. and Kuzma were like, together in the Lake Show, I think as you alluded to before.
Nonsense. A lot of nonsense. I heard
a lot of nonsense. Would you rather have B.I. or Kuz?
I heard a lot of nonsense.
Hang on. But I mean, I will put it like this. All-Star is a little heavy. All-Star caliber. It's trade and make the All-Star. So it's like being an All-Star caliber is very tough.
Yeah,
very
but
tough.
we know Trey's an All-Star.
Right. But I'm saying though, just the idea of even being the caliber like that's hard to do. You didn't ask me if I think Kuzma would play better or if he would average X amount. Big All-Star.
That's what he believes. That's what he believes. That's why.
As well he should. Now whether or not I agree is different. As a player, you should always believe you're All-Star. You should always believe, right, you're the best player on the court. That's different from it being reality. And that's what we are here for.
It's
That's what we are here for. I'm not going to get mad at a player for thinking that, like, yo, I should be this. Like, you should, brother. I ain't mad at you. But, you know, we got to be truth tellers and put everything to, you know. But, yeah, damn, man. I didn't want to have to answer that question.
That's why I said you may not like it. I was like, you may like it because the Lakers fan. But
I mean, yeah, shout out to Kuz, though. Love Kuz.
I'll say this. Kyle Kuzma, he's a player that has exceeded expectations. Like, what, he's a champion. He's a guy that came in the league. He was a bucket on a poor Los Angeles Lakers team. And he's exceeded expectations. So I can understand why, because sometimes what happens is when these guys come on bad teams and they play really well and they're averaging a lot of points. And I think Kyle Kuzma was their leading scorer when the baby Lakers, and stuff like that. So it's just kind of like, and they start thinking like, yo, I can be this or I can be that. Or I had the same type of potential as a Jason Tatum, which some NBA insiders are reporting that he thinks he's like right. Jason. Like he thinks he's like, on Jason Tatum's level. Whether I agree or disagree with that, it's just kind of like I can't tell him how to feel. So it's just kind of like I get it, and I will understand. I'll put it like this: Kyle Kuzma's best thing for him to do, for him to get paid more money. He's already a champion. Is to go on a bad team and just put up buckets
and shine.
Just shine. If that's what I kind of think that like Kyle Kuzma wants to do. But at the same time, Kyle Kuzma also understands like, yo, I'm in LA, this lifestyle. People know my name. People don't know Kyle Kuzma's name, and he's not getting endorsement deals with Puma, and he's not getting commercials, and he's not probably dating.
Folks love Kuz, bro.
Because they love Kuzma just like they love Alex Caruso because they're Lakers. If those two play, marketability matters based on the team you play with. Okay. Like if he was in Sacramento, if he was in Minnesota, if he was in Detroit, if he was in Orlando, a lot of conversations that be had about Kyle Kuzma is not being had. And there's a lot of reason why his trade stock is just like, to be honest, it's like he has trade stock and trade value because a lot of it has to do with him being a Los Angeles Laker. So it's just kind of like, Kuzma, you got to ask yourself, like, what is worth it? Is it worth you going to a bad team like a Sacramento, like a Detroit Pistons, or like Orlando Magic and putting up numbers and stats? Yeah, you probably get paid, you probably get more money, and you probably can get a chance to show that, yo, maybe you can be like a Jeremy Grant and have a phenomenal season
bring up that name.
Or something like that. And people be like, oh, okay, yo, he can average like 20 points in this league and stuff like that, 22 points in this league. But everybody's in the back of everybody's mind, the real hoop head is going to be like, well, has your game really developed, or you're just in a bad team?
or do you just have more opportunity?
Did you have more opportunity to score?
I get you.
So it's just kind of how we're still going to be like, it's always going to be a jury out on him. It's just like, how good really are you? If you can't, are you a starter on a playoff team, or are you a 6-man on the playoff team? That's what I'm saying. Even the Lakers, he's not even a 6-man no more. You know what I'm saying? It's just kind of like,
see, the $1 million question, the $1 million question that gets asked: do you want buckets or do you want chips? Do you want money or do you want glory?
But at the same time, I will say this though, because like people said the same thing about Jordan Clarkson, and Jordan Clarkson kind of went to the Cavs, and he was like, he was getting buckets, and then people was like, well, he's just a bucket getter. But then he was like, oh, we saw him in Utah Jazz. He was a 6-man. He had a vital role with the Jazz and stuff like that. So he was a crucial piece for their success. So that's what I'm saying. I don't even know first we got to figure out, like, can Kyle Kuzma go to a bad team and just get buckets and average 18, 20, 22 points on a nightly basis? And then after that, we got to figure out, can he be a 6-man or potentially a starter on a legit good team? Because those are two different questions. So it's just like, that's his ceiling to me.
I don't even think
more so than all-star caliber.
Right. Well, that should have been the question you asked. Can Kyle Kuzma be like the second option on a playoff team?
On a solid playoff team? What do you mean second option? I mean, but I think both are the same. All-star caliber. If you get all-star calibers,
no,
most time.
Let's think. Are there second options out there on playoff teams that aren't all-star calibers? Probably not.
No, probably not.
I thought of a name, but I'm
I know you're about to. Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Say who? Who you about to say?
I was about to say Chris Milton. Chris Milton was a 2-time.
No.
So
I have a name, but I want to keep thinking. All right. Yeah. Absolutely. You absolutely can. Absolutely. Because I just thought of one. Another one, actually. KP. You absolutely can.
Who?
Now, it's not to say that KP, Chris Porzingis. It's
Well,
not to say
Chris Porzingis' situation is totally different. He's in a bad situation. It's totally different. We probably can forget it. We'll talk about it right now. The offense that they were running, and he even came out and said it. He was a good teammate. People are talking about he's jealous of Luka Doncic. They had KP get in the corner and be a catch and shoot guy, and he's 7'3", and he can operate at the second level in the high post and go to work. But you know what? Number 77 got to get his buckets. Number 77 is 22 years old, and he wants the stats. He wants to, solidify his name as, and every young player has that where they want to be like, they want to focus on scoring. Like that, everybody want to win a championship, cool, but they young. Like if I can imagine me being 18, 19 years old, 20 years old, and I'm here at a Luka Doncic, Jason Tatum. I want to win a championship, but I want to get mine. I want to show you that I could go put up 50, 10, and 10. I want to show you I can go put up 60 in a playoff game and stuff like. I may not win a championship my first few years, but it's just like, all right, cool. I'm solidifying my name in the NBA, and that's what people got to understand. Like people put so much emphasis on like, oh, Luka needs help, this and that. Build a championship team. These players are young. Give them time. So that's KP's situation.
Yeah,
KP is still extremely talented. And the right side, give Los Angeles Lakers KP. It's over. Guaranteed. It's over. Over because the way LeBron James is going to use him. It is over. Him and Anthony Davis together. It is over. Over. I'm telling you, it will be over. That's what I'm saying. It's just like it depends on the offense. It depends on the personnel and the players you have on your team. Luka's at this point in his career where he's, he got to be like James Harden. He got to get his stats and stuff like that. He got to show who he is. So,
but you know what though, everything you said about KP, that just makes me want to give even more credit to players like Chris Bosh, in terms of like making that adjustment. Not to say that KP, can't do it, but just the idea of like, all right, you got to change your game now because you're playing with a dominant ball handler, right? Chris Bosh did it with LeBron, and KP is with Luka Doncic. Now, obviously, those situations are similar. Ain't nobody comparing Luka to LeBron, especially Miami LeBron. But just the idea of like, yo, here's a guy, right, who has the ball on the perimeter, and now I have to, in a way, shift my game to being a catch and shoot 7-foot player.
But it's a difference. It's a difference between LeBron and Luka in that situation. I get what you're saying because Chris Bosh.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying.
I know what you're saying because I didn't see KP come off the pick and roll and be wide open or be spotting up. I ain't saying Luka step back three. You know what I'm saying? Like people.
Hey, but does it go in though? Does it go in?
Sometimes, yeah, it does.
All right then.
Sometimes, but the flow of the offense is just kind of like it's nasty, man. That's what I'm saying. People, and that's why you got to really know the game of basketball. Actually watch the game because people really have you out here thinking that it's no validity in what KP is saying, and just make it seem like KP just jealous of Luka. It's just like, it's a reason why Steph Curry left, to go play with Philly.
Oh, Seth. Okay.
Seth over Dallas. So it's a whole lot of things. It's like people don't like to talk about it because like media darlings.
I knew it was coming.
And stuff like that. But
it was coming.
That's just the truth. That's just the truth. So we got off subject because we was talking about Kyle Kuzma and his. Him thinking he could be. He's on Jason Tatum's level.
Look, I don't know. That part in itself is a little heavy because Jason, especially what Jason has been doing lately in terms of just overall, playoff success and 50 burgers and things like that. But
top 10 player. I think you're a top 10 player.
Hey, like I said, I ain't mad at it.
Yeah.
I ain't mad at it at all. You supposed to feel that way. You supposed to feel disrespected if someone is saying, yo, you not like that, bro.
Kyle Kuzma can be a 18 to 22 point scorer on a team that's in the lottery. If that's what he cares about, his stats.
Okay, so let's work backwards here. Let's think about teams that are in the lottery and,
Orlando
guys that scoring 22.
Detroit.
Who are
Jeremy Grant.
See, all right. So is he in Jeremy Grant territory? Is he in
no.
Vucevic category? And I know Vucevic is with Chicago, but
he's not
Orlando.
I don't think he's not in neither. Vucevic was an all-star in Jeremy.
That's what I'm saying. I already said Vucevic is probably the most
and-
underappreciated player in the game.
And Jeremy Grant got a little shot creator package, and he played defense. Kyle
And he's on
Kuzma,
Team USA.
That's what I'm saying. Like Kyle is as great as he is. Kyle is a
Look, let me ask you this. What position is Kyle Kuzma?
That's what I asked you, cap or no cap. He's supposed to be a 3, but he don't have. He has to develop and work on his game and get his handle in order and stuff like that. Because obviously the Lakers thought he was going to be like a stretch 4, but his shooting's not good enough. So it's just like I don't know. And it's just like I really don't know. But like you said, it's about touches. You saw him with the baby Lakers. He was getting 40 points some nights, but it's the NBA. Everybody can get 40 one night. You know what I'm saying? That's what people get.
But though, look, in Kuz's defense, having LeBron being added to your team is definitely an adjustment. Like, that changes your entire playing style. You're like, no one in the history of the league, bro, is going to be able to just say, all right, I'm going to team up with LeBron.
But they still gave him
they
still gave him opportunity, first man off the bench. They even started him some games. He still had opportunities to show what he's about. And then, once he wasn't showing, them touches started getting less and less.
Hey,
So
you saw what Bi did once he left, and I'm wishing
he's not Bi.
If
He's
right,
not
correct.
Bi.
I'm right. I'm
He's
not
not
saying
Bi.
he is, but just the idea of like when players leave, hopefully they can develop or reach a certain status. Like, all right, you backing up your talk a little bit. Respect. I'm not saying he's Brandon Ingram, but I'm saying this because I'm rooting for him. I'm saying this because there's still hope.
I want him to succeed, but people are crazy.
I can tell there's a but following that. I want him to succeed, no doubt.
But people are crazy. It was people talking about like it was legit conversations of him being better than Jason Tatum and Brandon Ingram and Lonzo Ball. It's just
there wasn't. No, there wasn't.
Yes, it was.
Wait,
yes,
wait,
it was.
Wait. Do you mean like now, like 2 weeks ago, or like
no?
when
I'm talking
they were
about
all Lakers?
when they were all Lakers, and I'm just like, what are y'all watching?
Well, I mean,
what were y'all watching?
I mean, when they were all Lakers, bro, you gotta remember, Kuz was, Kuz was. Now, again, who you think would be the better player years from now? All right, cool.
Bro, they were already Brandon Ingram. They were both averaging the same amount of numbers and stuff like that. Like I said,
that's what I'm saying.
Kyle Kuzma is over
numbers.
Kyle Kuzma is overachieved. Kyle Kuzma needs to ride. He needs to work on his game. Ride this wave out. He may want to get traded and stuff to showcase his talent. That's fine. He may go to the Wizards and trade package for Russ or somebody. He may be involved in a trade package. That's cool. But it's just like, don't expect no. We ain't going. If as soon as Kyle Kuzma gets traded, we ain't gonna hear about Kyle Kuzma for no more. Since he's not in Los Angeles. Same with Alex Caruso. If the Cavaliers want Alex Caruso, Alex Caruso go to the Cavaliers. Alex Caruso should want to stay with LeBron and the Lakers. Kyle Kuzma should want to stay with LeBron and the Lakers. Because once these players leave, we ain't hear about them no more. They're gonna be role players for the rest of their careers. And as we may talk about it on a podcast and one game in like late November, everybody watching football, Kyle Kuzma dropped 40 points, and we may talk about it, because we talk about all teams and all players on this podcast, so we may talk about it. But the rest of the people, the casual fans, and people just watch the NBA and watch the big name teams and stuff like that, they ain't gonna be talking about Kyle Kuzma no more. And once he leaves Los Angeles,
all right,
that's just a fact.
All right, well, to conclude this episode, one thing is confirmed. The chances of us getting Kyle Kuzma on this damn episode, on this show, are now at 0. Thank you, Ahmad Smith. We are out. We are out.
It's your boy, Ahmad K. Smith, also known as AK. Make sure you guys go follow No Pump Fakes wherever you get your podcasts.